I want to bring up Sandoz. That's been one of the big stories in the headlines, just whether private equity is circling, also private family businesses. Can you confirm the level of interest in Sandoz at this stage?
Karen, nice to speak with you again. It's early days, and I think, we've started the strategic review. We're working on the carve-out financials. We have had some inbound interest from a range of different parties, but I'd say it's still too early for us to really say which direction the strategic review is going to go. We're, of course, entertaining all of the inbound interest, trying to provide the information that those parties need. And then what we'll expect to see over the course of this year is more solid perspectives, solid proposals, and we'll be able to then take a concrete decision, we expect, before the end of the year. So I'd say stay tuned. It's early days. We're excited to see all of the interest externally, but still a lot more work to do.
When you've got that amount of interest, it does beg the question, why sell at all if it's such a great business, Vas? And just looking at the sales up 2%, which seems very low versus other parts of the business, and the core operating income in line with the prior year, which means flat. What can you do with this business? Because generics do seem like they're still a huge part of the future of the industry.
Well, first, I think it's important to say, generics are by volume the most prescribed medicines in the world. In many markets, over 80% of the volume of medicine. So incredibly important for public health. And in Sandoz, you have the second largest generics business in the world, a leading biosimilars business, which is one of the most attractive segments within biosimilars. Right now, our focus is how can we build the leading generics company in the world over the long term, whether that's within Novartis or outside of Novartis. Right now, we need to get Sandoz back onto a solid growth trajectory, delivering on its pipeline, delivering on its biosimilars portfolio, and I think then the world will see what Sandoz is fully capable of. And that's going to take some time, but we're working on it step by step. I think we'll get there.
I'm fascinated what's happened, because I've been looking at your sector and Novartis for the best part of this century, and I don't understand what went wrong with generics. It was the bright new shiny thing, biosimilars, and it was seen in a similar vein. Just looking back at the industry as a whole, what went wrong with the generic industry that it went from being core to actually being something you can either do or do without at somewhere like Novartis?
Yeah, I'm not sure anything went wrong with the industry. I think what we did see were some shifts in the regulatory landscape and the competitive landscape. In the U.S., the regulatory landscape opened up, where we saw many more competitors from Asia entering in the U.S. market, creating a much more price competitive market. That, combined with a consolidation on the buyer side within generics in the U.S., has led to a much more challenging U.S. generics environment. Now, that's not the case for biosimilars. I think biosimilars remain exciting for the U.S. market and will be a significant growth driver for the sector. But in that core generics area, there's been a big shift in the competitive dynamic. I think that also, combined with some very large players also within biosimilars also entering from Asia, has also shifted the dynamic. So you've seen these shifts happen, and I think then the question is, what is the right setup for a generics business to be successful over the coming decades? You are correct. You've seen most of our peers exit the segment over recent years, and that's why we think it's the right moment for us to assess what is the best setup for Sandoz for the future.